Hey there, today I'm going to show you how to draw Rarity from My Little Pony. So we're going to start with the eye on the left side. So I'm going to have her sort of facing that way. So let's start at the top of the eyelash, curl down around the eye, and then down to the front. So it's kind of like a half leaf shape. Then from here I'm just going to draw some lashes. Here we'll just kind of curl up a few lines up along the top. And then from here, I'm just going to come down a bit, do an overlap, and just make my way to the front of the eye with a curve. So it kind of looks like a leaf-shaped eye. And from here, I can just draw in a few eyelashes for the bottom. So doing the reverse curve, so curving downward, I'm just going to draw 4 little lashes along the bottom. Let's draw the big pupils. So her pupils are quite large, so from up top in the middle, I'm just going to round out a half circle. In the center here, I'm going to draw a highlight. So big oval on the top, and then along the bottom here I'm just going to draw a smaller circle for a smaller highlight, and then following the edge of this pupil I'm just going to come in a little bit and just trace the inner part of that pupil. Then from here I'm just going to go ahead and color all this in black. Okay, so now that we have the eye, the next thing I'm going to want to do is draw the ear and work my way towards the front of the face. Just a little bit easier that way. So with the ear, it's quite large. It's about the same size as the eye. So I'm going to start at the back of the ear. I'm just going to curve up to the top of the ear. From here, I'm going to curve it down to about here. Like so, a little bit higher than the eye. And then on the inner edge here, I'm just going to draw a curve just to show the inner wrinkle of that ear. Now I just kind of want to imagine the head size before I start drawing in. So roughly about that big. It's a big circle, but then she's got a horn that sticks right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right about here, start to curve the top of her head and kind of stop here where I think the start of the horn will be. And from here I wanted to sort of point out that way, so I'm going to do an overlap, go straight up, and I'm going to round out the tip a little bit, and then come down so it's tapered out to right about there. From the inside I'm just going to draw a few curves in an angle. And from here, I'm going to imagine continuing this line to the front of her nose. So the top of her nose would be right about here. So I'm going to keep my finger here while I imagine this line, the curve coming all the way around, stopping right about there. Now I'm going to have to draw the inner part of the eye, so the other part of the eye, towards the front of her nose. So it's going to be one continuous line. So I kind of want to line the top of the eye up and do a curve like this out to the top front of the nose. Okay, so it kind of extends outward. From here I can just go ahead and draw a few eyelashes, like so. Then I can draw the pupil in the inside. So here I'm just going to draw a half circle on the inner side of the eye. I'm going to draw that same highlight, just tucked in underneath that nose bridge. I'll draw one more small circle here as well. And again, like I did here, I'm going to outline, trace the inner part of that pupil, and color that in black. So, okay, now let's get down to the chin. So again, like the head is going to be pretty much round. Here I'm going to round out the tip of the nose a little bit. And then from here, I'm going to round out the bottom of the chin. So going down here, just want a smooth curve up to the nose. I'm going to draw the nostril. So it's basically a small little curved U shape. And then for the mouth, I'm just going to start over here and just draw a little smile like that. Okay, now let's get into the hair actually. Before I get into the neck hair, I'm going to do the hair that curls around her head. So right about here, this is a curve that kind of comes around this way, but in between there's a little bit of a break. So I'm going to start by drawing a curve. I'm going to take this line and curve down to the top of the head. I'm going to take this line and curve back up to the same height. Now I'm going to draw this curl that comes continuously all the way to the front. So I'm going to come around to the front of the head and just do a little swirl like that. Now from here, I'm going to take this line and just draw an angle behind the front of that hair. So now here, just to show a little bit of depth, I'm going to draw from here a line that curves up behind this eye, like that. So it'll start to look like it's actually curled around. From here, I'm just going to draw a curve that kind of comes around, so it looks like the top of the hair curls in and then we start to see the bottom of the hair. From here, I'm going to draw a line to the top of that edge. From this edge, I'm just going to draw a line. From this back edge, I'll just draw a line. So now it looks like it's all curled in in this sort of like a 3D shape. From here, I'm going to draw some lines just to show some hair strands, kind of like that. I'll draw a couple more up here. So up here, I'm just going to draw a curve. Here, I'll draw another curve. Up here, I'll draw a couple. Just kind of working with the contour of that hair. Okay, now let's get into the hair around the neck. So this part here gets a little bit tricky. Imagine this line coming behind that ear. And from here, I'm just going to continue this around. And then just swirl this around like I did with the front of the hair here. From here, from this ear here, I'm just going to curl this around. Just like that. From here, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Curl this the other way. Now this part of the hair kind of gets extended down, almost like a 3D shape. So here I'm just going to curve down to about here. I'll take the front edge and curve around. Now I want to mimic this edge curve along the bottom here. From this edge here, I'm just going to pull this down. And this edge here, I'll pull that down, tucked in behind this front hair. Let's draw a couple strands of hair, just so I don't forget. Along here, I'll draw a curve that curves around. Then along this edge, again, following that same contour, just draw a couple of curves just like that. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is do the front of the body. So right here, I'm going to do an overlap. So I want the body to come down to right about here. So take this front, curve around to the front leg. From this point, I'm going to curve down to the front bottom of the foot. The bottom of the foot is basically just a curve that goes up. Now the legs sort of taper in, get a little bit thinner as I get to the top. So here, I'm just going to taper inwards. And before I get into the back, I'm going to draw the front back leg. So I'm going to have it sort of raised up. So I'm going to draw a curve like this. Curve down to the front toe. Curve up from the bottom of the foot. Curve up to the back of the knee. And then curve in the opposite direction. Just tuck that in behind the body. Now the back end of this, I'm going to draw right about here. So from this point, curve back. I'm going to sort of do a steeper curve down to the back leg, kind of like that. From here, I'm going to do a straight line out, and I'm going to bring the back of the leg down to the same height as I have in the front here. So, taking this, curving down, drawing the bottom of the foot, and this will get tucked in underneath the body. So I'm going to come up to about here, and now I'm going to do an overlap, and just draw a curve just behind that leg there. Now she's got 3 little diamonds on the back end, so I'm going to draw 3 little diamonds. So an upside down V and then a V. Let's do that again 3 times. So a diamond here, and draw 1 more on the back side like that. Okay, now that we have that, let's draw the tail. So the tail is sort of, again, a little bit tricky, so I'm going to start up about here, draw a curve that goes like that. I'm going to double thicken this up, so I'm going to go back down here and tuck this in behind the tail, leaving an overlap here. Now from here, I'm going to take this line and just curve it down. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back up here and I want to connect to that back of that curve there. So here, then I can go and just clean that up a little bit. Let's draw in the other curl. So here, right about here, I'm going to draw sort of a curve that goes like that. From this point, I'm just going to curve up. From this point, I'm going to curve down. And then connecting those 2 points with a curve like that. And then finally from here, right about here, I'm just going to draw a little curl like so. Then from this end, I'm going to curve it out. And then tuck this in underneath that curl. And then this end here, I'm just going to pull it down. And this side here, I'm going to pull it down. Draw a couple of little hair strands going across there, across here twice, across here, so, and probably 1 more up on this side, like this, just to show a little bit of hair detail. And I think that's pretty much it. There we have it. There's Rarity from My Little Pony. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please give us a like, tell your friends about us, get them to subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.